Hey, how's it going? I'm Chef Tim Whitner. I'm here at this open house with Sid McGill, and we're gonna be making some delicious green chili brownies. If you haven't tried them, you definitely gotta try them because chocolate and spice goes hand in hand together, and it's just a wonderful combination. As you can kind of see here, I've got some prep laid out. I've got all my ingredients measured and set aside. This is a technique that the French call mise en place. Basically just means making sure that you have everything together before you get going. So here we have some roasted chilies here, and what I did was I just put them on the grill and I turned them over a couple times, got some nice char on them, and what that's going to do is it's going to develop a nice roasted flavor. And that roasted flavor is going to play well with those brownies. So over here, what I'm going to do here is I've got some of these chilies laid out, and I'm going to take my knife here and I'm just going to cut off the end. It's got some of the seeds in there. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to discard those. And then we're going to fillet the chili open. And as you can see, there's some seeds in here. We want to get rid of these seeds because that's where a lot of the heat is. And a lot of people don't know this, but this membrane right here, that's where some of the heat is. So we're going to try to scrape away as much as that's possible so it's not too spicy for us. We're going to just scrape that away. Flip it over, and we're going to scrape the char off a little bit, just like that. And now we got a pepper that's ready to be diced up. So I'm going to go ahead and do these other ones really quick. These green chili brownies are actually really tasty. They've got these are Anaheim peppers is what these are. A lot of people also refer to them as Hatch green chilies. And Sid, you were telling me about those. Why do they call them Hatch?
Hatch is a location in New Mexico. It's a place where they're really famous for growing their chilies, and according to them, their soil is right for it and it's perfect for it. These really are Anaheims, and then Hatch is just kind of, it's a brand name, really. And so any chilies that come out of there, they call Hatch chilies, not necessarily just the Anaheims.
That's pretty awesome. You know, that's the one thing I have learned being a chef, that you're always learning something new. There's never any old information. It's always something new. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just scraping off the last of this chili skin.
One of the things that's interesting, New Mexico, if you ever go down there, you'll notice their state question is red or green. And they're always asking, which color of chili do you want for your salsa, red or green? Or what color of chili do you want, red or green? And depending on the day, one is hotter than the other. So you always want to make sure, if you're ever down in New Mexico, that you ask which one's hotter that day. Because everything in New Mexico is hot. And New Mexico is all about the chilies. They love their chilies down there.
So, Sid, here's a question for you then.
Sure.
Red or green?
Which is hotter?
Do you like hot, or do you like it?
I like really hot peppers. So up here in Utah, most places serve you a little bit mild, and kind of in the medium range. I like them hot.
See, and I like to taste my food. I like heat, don't get me wrong, but there's kind of a level of heat where it just gets a little too much for me, and I like to kind of taste my food a little bit more than that heat. All right, cool. So I got my chilies mixed up here. I'm just going to rinse my hands really quick.
One thing to make sure you understand, and this is coming from a New Mexican who's done this many times, those chilies, that juice from those chilies will be on your hands. So please don't touch your eyes. Don't touch the places that are not exposed, like for example under your arm. You don't want to touch under there, because those chilies will be on your hand for a long time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that heat will get you.
Yeah, definitely. You want to make sure you wash your hands pretty well. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and take my dry ingredients. I've got a half cup of flour I'm going to add into this bowl here. Got a whole cup of sugar. Got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and also baking powder. A 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, and I use dark cocoa powder because I love dark chocolate. Absolutely love it. It's a little bit better for you, and that rich dark flavor is just It's really robust, and I love that flavor. But you can use regular cocoa powder if you want to. Okay, so what I've done is I've mixed those dry ingredients. I'm also going to mix my wet ingredients. I've got 2 eggs here that are beaten. I've got 1/2 cup of oil. I'm going to add those 2 together. And I've also got a teaspoon of vanilla. And you can use vanilla extract if you want. If you have a little bit extra money and you like to play around with different vanillas, they also have pure vanilla you can use. I myself, I just like to use a little bit of vanilla extract, even though pure vanilla is pretty tasty itself. I got my wet ingredients blended here. And what I like to do is I make sure I also whisk together my dry ingredients, because you don't want a clump of that baking powder or that salt to be in one location. You want it thoroughly mixed.
You sound like a couple quick tips for making this even better than normal, because I don't think I've ever mixed up all my wet ingredients before. Then I know I've never stirred up my dry ones.
Yeah, this helps make sure that everything's blended well. I have a KitchenAid at home, and I like to use it, but I definitely like to just use my hands and use the tools that I've got here. So I got to take the wet, add it to the dry, make sure I get everything in there. And mix that nice and well. Make sure to get all around.
Now, Tim, is there a reason with brownies? I understand you don't have to mix them up like with a blender. Is there a reason for that?
Well, honestly, you don't want it to overmix, because if you overmix it, they come out real dense, and they don't really come out texture-wise the same way that you would want them to. You just want to gently mix it to incorporate it well, and that's it. Keeping it real simple, real easy. Scraping off my whisk because we want all that delicious goodness. Just like that. Okay. Now this recipe you can use about 1/2 cup of green chilies. It really depends on how much you like spice, but I definitely don't recommend too much more than 1/2 cup. I'm gonna go just a tiny smidge less. I'm gonna take those green chilies, add them in just like that, and we're just gonna fold them in.
Yeah, those look great already, Tim.
I love the dark cocoa powder. Gives us a really rich dark color, and those green chilies that are just kind of hiding in there like little surprises. All right, wash my hands one more time here. And then make sure when you're baking anything that you are always using either a cooking oil, a cooking spray, anything to help keep your baked product from sticking to the pan that you're using. That's always a major disappointment to me, is when I forget to spray the pan and I go to take it out and it's stuck. Make sure it's sprayed real well to the sides. And now we're just going to take our ooey gooey chocolate brownie goodness, and we're just going to fold it right into the pan. Let it drop right out.
Like little emeralds in a dark cave there, and those little chilies on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I had these earlier this week, and I loved them, absolutely loved them. The one thing I did notice that I want to warn you guys, for those of you who don't like to eat all your brownies all at once, you like to savor it throughout the week, I will tell you that the spice on the brownie and the roasted chili flavor really comes through the more it sits. So I definitely recommend you doing, if you're going to make these brownies, eat them up quick. Share them with the neighbors. It's really, really good, but the longer they sit, the more that chili flavor comes through. And sometimes it can be a little overpowering for some people. And I like that hint of green chili flavor. I don't like it to be too strong. Awesome, I got all that gooey goodness in there. I'm gonna make sure that it's spread out. I'm gonna just tilt the pan a little bit, shake it around. Make sure it's nice and even. Sometimes with cakes in school they teach you to just take the pan and pat it down, and sometimes you'll see air bubbles come up, and that helps your bake to be a little bit more even. Okay, and we've got our oven set at 350 degrees, and what we're going to do is we're going to slide these in here. And we're going to set our timer for 25 minutes, and we'll see how they turn out. Always make sure you have toothpicks on you, just to make sure that it's done. Different altitudes bake differently, so you want to make sure that you're opening it up maybe a few minutes early just to test it to make sure.
Awesome. All right, we're back. We have let them bake, and Chef Tim Whitner is gonna tell us what we need to do now.
Okay, so my timer went off, and I wasn't sure, with the altitude, sometimes, like I said, the baking process can be a little bit different. So I just set the timer for just under what the recipe says to do. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the oven. I've also got some cookies in here, you can see. I'm looking at the pan here, and you can kind of see on the edge here, it's starting to pull away, which is a really good sign. You want to see that. It's still a little bit jiggly in the middle, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this toothpick, I'm going to put it inside, and you can kind of see it's still a little bit gooey. And with brownies, that is a good thing, but I think I'm just going to give them just another minute longer, and we'll come back to them.
Sweet. All right. Tim, let's try them one more time.
One more time, let's see. Okay.
Wow, those are done.
Yep.
Goody.
They has a little bit of gooiness to them, but you want that, just a little bit, because as you pull it out of the oven, that tray is still going to be hot, and so it's going to do what's called carryover cooking. And that carryover cook is going to add a little bit more doneness as it cools down.
I'm glad you said that, carryover. I've not known what to call that. I know that it happens with like meats and stuff like that. If you pull them out, then they cook just a little bit more on their own. It's called a carryover.
Yep, carryover cooking. You want to make sure that anytime you're cooking anything, that if you just slightly go right below its doneness, it's gonna pull you when you pull it out of the oven. The tray that it's on, the sheet that it's on, the heat is still gonna allow it to cook.
Awesome.
And so, all right, cool. So now that we've pulled our brownies out, we've also let them cool. It's important to let your brownies cool, otherwise they're just a little too gooey. If you can't wait, eating them right away might be not a bad idea, but it's always best to let them cool a little bit. So we've got our cool brownies here. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our spatula. And I don't know if you can see this, but around the edges of the brownie, you can tell that the brownie is pulled away from the edge of the pan, and that's really important. That's when you know that it's done. And I'm just going to take my spatula here. I've got a regular 9x9 pan here, and I'm just going to take my spatula and cut it into 9 pieces, 9 equal pieces. Just going to slide that through. These look absolutely delicious. I can't wait to try one. Now, if you're a little adventurous, we got some powdered sugar. It makes things look a lot prettier. I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of that on here. Always makes brownies, cakes, things look a little bit nicer if you just add a little powdered sugar. And if you really like your spice, what you can do is add a little bit of cayenne pepper to your powdered sugar. It gives it a kind of a pink red tinge to it, so it makes your brownies look even better. And there you go. Beautiful, delicious green chili brownies. You can tell in there that they're just done. There's a little bit of moistness right in the middle. Absolutely delicious.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef Tim Whitner. We appreciate it. Awesome job. If you guys ever want to try something a little different, a little unique, you should try these. These are really delicious. So thanks so much. I sure appreciate your time.
No problem.
Don't forget to look up his blog. What's it called?
Chef, it's Bangarang's Blog Spot.
Bangarang's Blog Spot, and he's got this recipe on there. I'm going to link it on my site, sidsellshouses.com, and you'll be able to get a copy of that from there as well. And then we'll put together a PDF and other ways for you to get a hold of this recipe that Chef Tim Whitner has put together. So thank you so much, and hope everyone has a great day. We
Awesome.
out.
See ya.